Hi everybody, this is Leo Villan with part 1 of my 4-part series, The Material Mechanics of Spirituality. I was rereading that classic on spirituality, Varieties of Religious Experience by William James, 1842 to 1910, who had been a Harvard professor at the turn of the 20th century. The book represents the first and the last time that science has carefully looked at religious spiritual phenomena. I developed a few new insights and would like to share them with you. Firstly, let's understand what kind of experiences we're talking about here. Full-blown mystical experiences including enlightenment, God realization, transcendental one with all things kind of things, Kundalini awakening, Satori, Nirvana, Samadhi, you might even say psychotic. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about here. But I already know that some people will feel left out. In both the traditional religious and New Age communities we have, depending on how you want to say it, true believers or born-againers with faith, and on the New Age side, those who feel that enlightenment is an attitude or just being in compliance with the New Age consensus on what they wish were true. Well, that's not what we're going to be talking about here. Yes, if I were to take on a blog such as that, well, I think I would first have to do a public survey asking the question, do you believe there's a difference between being a thing and claiming to be a thing? And see what kind of answers I get back from the Christian and New Age communities. We may think of these real-deal enlightenment experiences as being entirely religious or spiritual. But, well, that's not exactly their functional purpose according to James. The inner psychological intent for so effectively impacting and changing the personality is that the body's own innate wisdom fears that if left to follow its present course, that the body would die because of it. So this sense of impending danger triggers some survival mechanism that stops any further destructive forward momentum. Of course, we need to keep in mind two things. First, that our innate wisdom is more generally an animal instinctual intelligence than higher human. And secondly, that human beings evolved to live in groups. So our innate wisdom would consider life and death issues to be both threats to the person as well as serious threats to one's social standing. Yes, keep in mind that in primitive times, to be banished from the group would have been tantamount to a death sentence. I suppose that's the reason why people can seem so disproportionately distraught if all that happens is they're not invited to some party. You know, social slights really aren't that slight. Not that I'm complaining. What the survival mechanism does is it triggers the secretion of a very large dose of some kind of a neurochemical cocktail, which is probably heavy on dopamine, the happiness hormone. Well, that causes a complete nervous breakdown, which effectively washes away the dysfunctional personality, and of course that must be followed by a rebuild of the personality intended to make it much better adapted for surviving in the given circumstances. Here we need to keep in mind that the survival adaptation can go in one of 3 ways. One can change the environment to make it more accommodating, or one can change one's own cognitive appraisal to make the environment seem more subjectively acceptable, or one can simply leave and find a more hospitable environment somewhere else. Yes, it's either fix it, befriend it, or flee from it. So yeah, when we do encounter people in the aftermath of their breakdowns, we might prime ourselves to expect that they might react in any combination of those 3 ways. The fixing it option will present us with an energized personality confident in his or her own ability to control people and events. And while their actual performance may be hit and miss, you can at least rely upon them to stay on the job, because it's kind of a hardwired obsession with them now. And it isn't about money with these people, unless it's, of course, money they're focusing on. But generally, if they obsess about some legitimate calling, they're the sort that will accomplish a lot and still die broke, investing out of their own pockets and never thinking to cash out for the payday. The best model for this adaptation pattern that I can think of is Madame Blavatsky, 1831 to 1891, the dynamic powerhouse that got the New Age movement going. And the narrative quality of her writings have yet to be surpassed. You know, I honestly don't know how they can sell New Age books when you can get Madame Blavatsky's practically for free, since they're all in the public domain now. But yeah, when she died, with projects she developed going on 3 continents, well, they were hard-pressed to find the money to bury her. You know, God bless her. Those who adapt by fleeing the scene will run away and you might never see them again. But those who go the way of the cognitive shift, well, the only thing that changes is their minds. Their original dysfunction could have been with their inability to accept the ways of society, or they never felt as though they belonged. But the cognitive shift turns all that around. If you think that a leopard can't change their spots, well, these leopards are cats of a different stripe. The new personality won't think the old situation, even their old enemies, quite so bad anymore, and will probably even positively like everything and everybody now. No, they're not pretending. Even if they still don't fit in, they'll no longer pick up on rejection cues the way they did before, and it'll be even harder to make them go away. It might be like you got a friend, whether you want one or not, and since they seem so harmless now, well, most people will do as much boundary setting as they can and live with it. Yes, their new cognitive shift, rose-colored glasses, will turn this old thorn patch into a rose garden, and they'll be looking at us like we're all dressed in lace and silver buckles, being pushed on tree swings, up against a backdrop of blue skies and fluffy white clouds with ribbons flowing through our hair, flapping in the breeze. Yeah, it's crazy, because that's clearly not who we are. Or it's unconditional love being taken to an uncomfortably irrational extreme. But it's better than the way they were before, right? Yeah, getting past our own feelings and thinking empathetically toward them, we can only wonder at the depths of the depression and despair that had previously enveloped them, and be glad for their newfound happiness, keeping in mind that our own annoyance with their super sweet cloyingness is trivial by comparison. But we also need to keep in mind that their delusionality and lack of true discernment should prevent us from ever entrusting them with any real responsibilities. You know, put them on the decorations committee. Yeah, it does seem paradoxical, but their being enlightened may block them from ever seeing how the real world works. Blue skies shining on me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Boom, 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 boom. Well, that's it for part 1, and now on to part 2 of our series. See you later.